Hi dear students, hope that all of you have finished reading the last chapter, A Horse and Two Gods. Today we are going to see a new chapter, that is Hearts and Hands by O. Henry. You may please take chapter 4, page number 69. As you know, the last chapter was little lengthy and this is very short compared to the last chapter. And the author, as I told, it is O. Henry, and the real name of O. Henry, it is William Sidney Porter. O. Henry, it is his pen name, and he is an American writer, and he is very well known for his humor and the surprise ending in his stories. And here the story Hearts and Hands, it also has got a surprise ending. This story speaks about a chance encounter between two acquaintances, that is Miss Fairchild and Mr. Easton, on a train. Acquaintances means the people, those who know each other before. So here Miss Fairchild and Mr. Easton, they know each other before, and by chance they meet together on a train. And as the story develops, Miss Fairchild finds that Mr. Easton is handcuffed to someone. He is handcuffed to a grim-looking person. Handcuffed means he is chained to someone. That means he is a culprit or a criminal. But at that occasion, the grim-looking person, the other person, saves Mr. Easton from the embarrassment. And again, when the story develops, then we will understand the truth about these two people. That means Mr. Easton and the serious looking person from the other passengers, those who were traveling along with these three. So here in this story there are 5 characters and 3 main characters are there, that is Miss Fairchild, Mr. Easton and the grim looking person. And there are 2 other characters, that is the passengers, 2 passengers who reveals the truth about Mr. Easton and the grim-looking person. The setting of this story, it is in a train to Denver, and the style is very typical and it has got a surprise ending. Now we will see detail about the story. You may please take page number 69, chapter 4, Hearts and Hands by O. Henry. At Denver, there was an influx of passengers into the coaches on the eastbound B&M Express. In one coach, there sat a very pretty young woman, dressed in elegant taste and surrounded by all the luxurious comforts of an experienced traveler. At Denver, there was an influx of passengers. Influx of passengers means entry of large number of people into the coaches. And this train was moving towards eastbound location. That means it was moving towards eastward location. And the name of the train, it is B&M Express. And in one of the coaches, there sat a pretty young lady dressed in elegant taste. That means elegant taste means dressed in a graceful manner, in a very pleasant manner. There was a pretty young lady dressed in an elegant manner, and she was having everything required for the traveler. All the luggages, bags and other items required for the good journey she was having. Then, among the newcomers were 2 young men, one of handsome presence with a bold, frank countenance and manner. The lady was sitting in one of the coaches, and at that time 2 newcomers entered into the same coach. Many were entering into the coaches, and 2 newcomers entered into the same coach where this lady was sitting. And the speciality of the first person who entered into the train was he was very handsome, and the appearance, countenance means appearance, it was very frank. Frank means very honest, and then bold. This person was very bold and frank appearance, and at the same time he was having proper manners. The other, ruffled, glum-faced person, heavily built and roughly dressed. The two were handcuffed together. Two people are there, and we had seen about the first person, and now we will see about the second person. Other was ruffled. Ruffled means disordered. That means the dressing and the appearance may not be that much proper compared to the first person. The second person's appearance is totally disordered and glum-faced. That means very serious looking or the dull-faced man, and heavily built and roughly dressed. Heavily built means good body shape, and roughly dressed. The dressing also not that much proper compared to the first person. And the speciality here you have to notice that these two were handcuffed to each other. Handcuffed to each other means chained to each other. From that you may get the idea that they had done something wrong and they may be the criminals. That is why they have handcuffed to each other. So the lady was sitting in one of the coaches that was moving towards eastbound location. At that time, two people entered into her coach, and these two were handcuffed to each other. The first person, he was very handsome and frank looking, and the second person, he was very serious and glum-faced. The next paragraph. As they passed down the aisle of the coach, the only vacant seat offered was a reversed one facing the attractive young woman. As they passed, that means these two handcuffed persons, as they passed down the aisle of the coach. Aisle means it is a passage between the seats. You might have noticed there in the theater or even in the train. Those who are travel, you have got the experience. There is a passage between the seats. So as they passed between this gap, between the aisle, then they noticed that the only seat vacant was reversed to this pretty girl. Reversed means just opposite to this pretty girl. So these two persons, they were in search. They wanted to sit. So they were searching for the seats, and they found that the only vacant seat, it was just opposite to the pretty looking girl. Here, the linked couple seated themselves. The young woman's glance fell upon them with a distant, swift disinterest. The linked couple here means the two persons, those who were handcuffed to each other, and they found that the vacant place, it is just opposite to the young lady, so they sat there. That time, the glance means the look of this particular young lady. She just looked at these two handcuffed people with a disinterest, without having any interest. She just made a look at these two people, those who sat in front of her, and she was not aware that these two were handcuffed to each other. Then, with a lovely smile brightening her countenance and a tender pink tinting her rounder cheeks, she held out a little grey gloved hand. Now we can see a change in the very facial expression of the girl. She looked these two with a disinterest, but once she looked again, then there is a change happening in the face of this particular young lady. Then with a lovely smile brightening her countenance, that means there happened a smile on her face and a tender pink tinting her rounded cheeks. Tinting means indicates the pink color. The cheeks of this girl became red in color, and she held out the grey gloved hand. So first of all, we have to notice that when the two linked couple, they sat in front of her, she just looked with a disinterest, but now there happens a change. Some kind of brightness happens on her face, and she in a way smiling, and the cheeks, the color is changing. That means to express that the girl was smiling there. When she spoke, her voice, full, sweet and deliberate, proclaimed that its owner was accustomed to speak and be heard. So she started to speak then the voice of this girl, it was very sweet and deliberate, and when she spoke, she just intended to speak and hear from other person. the owner was accustomed means familiar to speak, and she is ready to speak with other person, and at the same time she is ready to listen to other person. So from this paragraph we can understand that this girl was sitting there, and that time these two newcomers, they entered into the train or the particular coach where she was sitting, and the only vacant place in that coach, it was just opposite to the girl. So the linked couple, they sat in front of this particular young pretty girl. And I hope that you know the linked couples means the persons, those who were handcuffed to each other, the rough person and the handsome person. And at first she looked at these two people with a disinterest, but later there happens a change in the appearance, the facial expressions of the girl, and she started to smile, and she just trying to speak with one of the person. And she wanted to speak with the person who was sitting in front of her. Well, Mr. Easton, if you will make me speak first, I suppose I must. Don't you ever recognize all the friends when you meet them in the West? Here, the girl, she started to speak with the person who is sitting in front of her, and she is speaking to Mr. Easton. Mr. Easton is the handsome person. There we had seen the characteristics of the both persons, and the first one, he was very handsome and bold, frank countenance. So she was speaking to Mr. Easton, the handsome person, and she is asking whether he is not able to recognize the old friends when they meet there in West. So she knows this person. That is why she starts the conversation here. Then the next passage, the young man roused himself sharply at the sound of her voice, seemed to struggle with a slight embarrassment which he threw off instantly, and then clasped her fingers with his left hand. By hearing the sweet voice, he just roused his head. That means raised or awakened his head, and at the sound of her voice, he was just awakened by hearing the sound of this particular young lady, and seemed to struggle with a slight embarrassment. That means he was little ashamed of hearing the voice that is very familiar to him, and which he threw off instantly. Threw off instantly means at once he left that embarrassment. That means first when he heard the sound, he felt embarrassment, but he threw off such a kind of embarrassment at once, and then clasped. Clasped means grasped the hand of this particular young lady with the left hand. You have to notice that one. He is grasping the hand of this young lady with the left hand. Normally when we address someone, we grasp the person's hand with the right hand. That is the polite manner. But here this person, he is grasping the hand of this young lady with the left hand. Then, "It's Miss Fairchild," he said with a smile. "I will ask you to excuse the other hand. It is otherwise engaged just at present." So now from here we will get the name of the girl. The name of the girl is Fairchild. So he is addressing, and he knows this girl. That is why he is saying, "Oh, it's Miss Fairchild." And then he is asking excuse for what reason? For grasping the hands with the left hand. And he is saying the reason for grasping the hand with the left hand is that his other hand, that means the right hand, was engaged at that moment. So from here we get the name of the girl, that is Miss Fairchild, and this person, the handsome Mr. Easton, he is asking excuse for addressing or grasping the hand of the young lady with the left hand, and the reason also he gives that the right hand was engaged at that moment. He slightly raised his right hand, bound at the wrist by the shining bracelet, to the left one of his companion. In the last paragraph we had seen that Mr. Easton, he addressed the girl with the left hand. He grasped the hand of the girl with the left hand, and the right hand was engaged. Now we will get the truth about the right hand and how it was engaged. He just raised his right hand then it was handcuffed to another person. There was a bracelet. Bracelet here means the handcuff. It was handcuffed to the other person, and it was handcuffed to the left hand. The left hand of other person. The right hand of Mr. Easton was handcuffed to the left hand of the companion. The glad look in the girl's eyes slowly changed to a bewildered horror. The glow faded from her cheeks. Her lips parted in a vague, relaxing distress. Now you can understand the situation of the girl. You just imagine you travel in a trail and all over a sudden you meet your old friend and you found that that person is handcuffed to someone. Then how it will affect and how you will feel. Just imagine. The same thing happened to this girl also. She started the conversation by seeing the old friend and she was very happy. But when she found this person was handcuffed to another person, then the glad look that faded from her face. The glad look in the girl's eyes slowly changed to bewildered horror. Bewildered means in the confused horror. She was totally confused and she was totally afraid. The glow faded from her cheeks. The glow means the flush or the happiness, the reddish color that faded from her face, and her lips parted in a word. That means word means not clear. She was not knowing what to do, and it a surprise with an amazement. Her lips were parted, relaxing distress, and she was totally confused and discomfort. Relaxing distress means she was totally discomfort. So the person, he just showed the handcuff which was attached to the companion. Then all the happiness that was on the face of this lady, it faded and she was totally distressed. Easton, with a little laugh, as if amused, was about to speak again when the other forestalled him. As if amused, that means just a casual laugh. He made a casual laugh and then he was about to speak to this lady and he was just trying to explain about the reason behind the handcuff. Then the other person, that means the companion who was sitting with him, he just forestalled. Forestalled means prevented Easton from talking to girl. And Mr. Easton wanted to speak to the girl, but the other person just prevented Mr. Easton from speaking to the girl. Then the glum-faced man had been watching the girl's countenance with veiled glances from his keen, shrewd eyes. So the other person, he was also watching the changes that happens on the face of this girl. Countenance means I told the appearance. The appearance of the girl already changed. And other person was watching all these in a veiled glances from a distance, in a masked look. He was just watching this girl and her changes in the appearance from his keen, shrewd eyes. Shrewd means very cunning eyes. So the person was watching the changes that was happening on the face of this girl. So he just prevented Mr. Easton from speaking to the girl. So today this is enough, and the rest of the story we will discuss the next class. So I hope that you got a brief idea about the story. So now I will just give the summary of the story till we discuss today. So the story is set on a train which goes to Denver, and in that train there was a lady sitting, and this train was moving to eastbound location, and this lady was very pretty looking girl. And that time two people came inside the same coach and they sat in front of this girl, and out of these two, one was very handsome and looking very good, and the other person was very rough. By seeing these two, she showed no interest, but later she just wanted to speak with one of the people, those who were sitting in front of her. And you know the speciality of these two persons, they were handcuffed to each other. But the girl was not knowing about that one, and she was knowing one of the person who was sitting in front of her, so she started the conversation. Then the other person, he addressed, that means Mr. Easton, he addressed and recognized the girl and addressed him as Miss Fairchild, and he just grasped the hand of this girl with the left hand. And after that he gives the reason why he did so. Because his right hand was encaged, and that means his right hand was handcuffed to the other person. And after seeing that one, all the happiness that was there on the face of this girl was faded, and she was totally distressed, and she felt discomfort. That time Mr. Easton wanted to speak something to the girl, but the other companion, he prevented Mr. Easton from speaking to the girl because he noticed the changes that happened on the face of this girl. So the rest of the story we will discuss on the next class. Thank you. Have a nice day.